Okay, next up we'll have Ms. Meislin and Dr. Howard, and they'll get settled so they can talk about their SILT work. And there is actually a little bit of a theme here with some extended day type programs. It wasn't planned that way, but you know what's going on with Spark after school here, and you're going to hear a little bit of another innovative school who did something different in times when we don't normally regularly have students.
So we are small but mighty, small but mighty. I love Jefferson, and for those of you that don't know, I worked there for 2 years, so they did a great job. Really inspired. I knew we should have gone first, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Jesse got it. It's okay. Okay. Good evening. Thank you for having us here. I'm Suzanne Meislin. I'm the principal of Dr. Howard, and I'll let the other presenters introduce themselves.
I'm Alyssa Pavlakis, and I'm the assistant principal.
I'm Jennifer Simmons. I'm fourth grade teacher and equity chair and longtime parent in the district. My youngest two just graduated last year.
So, like Jefferson, Dr. Howard also began the SILT work in the spring of 2020 before the shutdown. Dr. Taylor actually started working with my predecessor. And so the staff at Dr. Howard, prior to me coming in, had already done their placemat activities. They had identified their priorities, and these are our SILT committees and our chairs. So I do want to recognize our chairs. Some of them, Dr. Simmons is here with us tonight. She's our equity chair. Our student achievement chair is Julie Turner. She's a first grade teacher. Culture and climate, we have co-chairs. Christina Campesino, who teaches kindergarten in the morning, and she's an instructional coach in the afternoon. Mignona Langalang is an interventionist. Our professional development chair is Mr. Kevin Frederick. He's a first grade teacher, and he's actually in his second term as professional development chair. So he's in his third year. And we also have a CFT rep who joins us at our monthly SILT meetings, and that is Leanne Knight, so that we can ensure we have teacher voice.
So this is some of our data as well as our accountability measures that we have at Dr. Howard right now. So currently our summative designation is commendable, which is great for Dr. Howard. And some of the data that we've really focused in on is MAP and Panorama. So in regards to MAP, we are across all of our students above the national average for those who meet and exceed in ELA. And that was a growth area from last year. Our percentage of third grade Black students, which our third grade is, and I've heard this across the district, third grade is an area where students are really struggling right now. Our third grade Black students who scored did not meet decreased by 20% since 2019. And then across all of our students, we were above the district and national average for exceeds in math. So we have a lot of students who are at those exceed areas in our ELA and math. And then in Panorama, this is something we're really proud of. Our students' growth mindset increased by 6% from this fall to this winter. So our kids are learning that they can change, they can grow. And that's often one of the biggest roadblocks that we see. So it's wonderful to see that that growth is happening, and they're seeing that they can come to school and learn and grow and get to those goals that they have. Our academic goal right now is to increase our number of students who are meeting or exceeding for ELA and math for both MAP and IAR. We still see this big opportunity gap between our Black and white students. So our goal is to close that gap at Dr. Howard. And some of the ways we're doing that is really first and foremost to strengthen our tier 1 instruction, both in math and ELA. One of the ways we're doing that is through our ELA walkthroughs that everyone in the district is doing. And also to provide professional development on reading instruction. We're really trying to move to this idea of decoding and focusing on the science of reading and how we use that not just K2, but K5, because all of our students need to be able to decode and comprehend at all levels in order to be literate. And then finally, we really focus on our data wall. Our data wall is an active and living document at Dr. Howard that all of our teachers are filling out at all times and really guides our PLC work. So when you pull up that data wall, we use it as a talking point every time we get in front of our PLCs to make sure that we are on the same page and that we are using data to decide where we need to move at Dr. Howard.
So it's probably no surprise that our focus school work has really led us to reading. You heard that. You're probably going to hear that a lot across the district. We really need to work on reading at Dr. Howard. Our Teacher language for our learning focus is all students at Dr. Howard demonstrate flexible decoding strategies to develop comprehension skills. So we're focusing on decoding, but we know that that leads to comprehension. And we know that it's not just decoding, right? Kids have to have context. They have to make meaning, right? So our student-friendly version of our learning focus is at Dr. Howard. We learn to read and read to learn. So we started a campaign, and these are some of our staff members. If you, when you come to see us at Dr. Howard and you walk through our building, you'll see these wonderful posters at each teacher's space, and it's staff posted with their favorite book. So we're really gonna just dive into what's your favorite book, what are you reading right now. We have this for staff. We're working on families submitting their photos with their favorite text, and we're gonna work on our students doing this as well. So really immersive, again, no surprise, reading.
Thanks for hearing about us at Dr. Howard. Our equity goals are, use culturally responsive, explicit decoding instruction to grow independence with text, expression, and communication. Decoding means at the younger grades, we're learning to read. There's a lot of ways that looks, but at the older grades, what we're finding is it's finding the base word in the middle of a long multi-syllable word, and the students are taught to find the base word, and then that helps them with the meaning. Look at the prefix and affix, and then to be better communicators. Also, our equity goals are to provide diversity and inclusion, equity, and implicit bias training. Along those goals, we've done some, as far as our staff, we've done some book studies over the last 3 years, excerpts from Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? We Got This, How to Be an Anti-Racist and Anti-Racist Ally. We're working we had book choices as a staff, and then we get together and discuss how things are going and kind of identifying our own bias and hoping to change the systems that we have. We've also purchased a lot of culturally relevant books so that our students see themselves mirrored in the books that we're reading to them and the books that they're choosing. And this has been really a whole school effort. Suzanne has helped us infuse really great books into our classrooms. So if you come to visit us, we may have some great books to send home with you too. We've had some of our PD has been problem solving around teacher created scenarios, things that we see in our spaces around behavior and how we can maybe adjust our systems. Like, what about this as a system of ours? And how does this behavior, this manifestation maybe of something else that's going on? And so that's really helped us. Suzanne will talk about the Dr. Howell Owl Prep Academy, but I can say that this summer school has really helped in our relationships with teachers and students. I know that I had all fourth grade, like kids from all 3 fourth grade classes going into this year. So that really helps when you're out at the playground or in the building, you see, you all have relationships. Part of what we're doing now is that we're purchasing a lot of instructional materials for decoding, for social emotional development, for reading, things that we can use in our collaboration spaces. We have a really different school, physically our school is new. We opened with not very many, we weren't at capacity because we were in a pandemic. And so now we're learning to use these spaces, our collaboration spaces, the way they're intended, with materials there that kids can access independently. We're using data-driven intervention support. So we have intervention, since we have decoding and reading across the school, that's our focus. Our interventionists, our math teachers, our PE teacher, everyone is using word study and language development. And we do a lot of building-wide problem solving through the equity lens, like the kids, how their transportation works, Do they come when there's still breakfast? If not, what can we do to make sure kids come in and get breakfast? We have breakfast in our classrooms, which is something as a parent that I really like. I love having kids in my class eating breakfast and talking, and then we all kind of start our day together that way. We also talk a lot about our routines in our building, recess. We're always problem solving. What systems do we have in place? What do students need to be successful?
So Jennifer mentioned DOPA, which is our Dr. Howard Owl Prep Academy. And this was a vision, it's not quite, what is your after school one? Spark, not quite that, but it was also a vision that came out directly out of our school improvement plan the first year that we worked. And we knew that we wanted to do a summer program. So that's really challenging at elementary, right? Our kids can't hop on the MTD, right? We have to get them breakfast. We have to get them lunch. We have to find staff. We're a staff of like 40 people. So we're like half the size of Jefferson, right? With maybe a third of the staff. So our Dr. Howard Owl Prep Academy is just something we are so proud of. We've run it 2 summers, the last 2 summers. And the idea was we really wanted to get kids in our space and front load them. One, to the building, because in the summer of 2021, we had kids that hadn't even been in our space. And then 2, to be a part of our community, to know they mattered, to know they were seen, to know they belonged there, that they had voice. And so we developed a summer academy. The first year, we opened it up to about 120 students. We didn't have transportation. We had about 80 or so that came. And we did do a math and ELA focus over 8 days. We ran a Monday through Thursday, half day. And it was all around literacy. So students left with hardcover books. So again, when you come to Dr. Howard, we'll give you some books, we'll show you the books. And it was all about them, right? Well, all about You Matter and Hair Love and all the great texts that our kids just can't get enough of. So we did that, and we thought, that was okay, but we had to look at it, right? Like, how can we make this better? So we ran it again last year. And again, thanks to Rhonda and transportation and food service. So it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of resources, right, to do this. So we ran it this summer and we did 5 days. So we did 1 week. And this year, again, it was all around, we really added in more joy. So we added in playful classroom, and we taught kids that playing games is fun, right? And it's learning, and they learned how to cooperate. They learned how to get along with each other. They learned how to problem solve. So these are just a couple of pictures. And we ran this actually K-5. So this was incoming kinders, families we hadn't even met yet. That was our biggest group. Our kindergarten families couldn't wait to get in to DOPA. They loved it. And then most of the kids actually had teachers that they would have or they would see in that grade level. So we established those relationships, and what we saw when they came back in August was they were leaders. They wore these DOPA ambassador badges. And so they walked around so proudly, and they could tell everyone like what it was to be like, what the expectations were when you're at Dr. Howard, how you're a scholar, how you're a leader, how you're kind, respectful. So it was amazing. And the best part is kids went home with resources, right? More texts. And we have all these indoor recess activities now for puzzles and games and Legos. So DOPA has been great. And we'll talk about, when you ask us what you need, we'll talk about some of those challenges. We were prepared too. So, but yeah, we're really proud of DOPA, and that truly is an initiative that came from our school improvement planning process.
Okay, so our Culture and Climate Committee, which is run by Mignona Lungalang, the goal, and Christina Campesino, I'm sorry, I forgot that they were co-chairs. The goal of that is that they're really working to create culturally relevant literacy materials and make our students be able to be immersed in that reading experience within the community and showcase many different ways for them to show that they can celebrate this literacy. So as you can see, again, reading, our focus is reading, in case that was unclear. So some of the things that we've done already to highlight that is this is the first year that Dr. Howard has a social media presence. So check us out on Instagram and Facebook. But on that social media presence, you can see that we're really highlighting the things our students are doing around literacy and around joy and around celebration. So some of the events I'm about to talk about, if you go onto our social media, you will see them highlighted. Also, anytime we have a professional development, we want our community to know what we're doing, what we're learning about to help our kids. So when we have a professional development, I'm posting on there pictures of us learning. It's like, hey, today we did a science of reading PD. And it's really cool to see parents come in and go, what was that PD about? Because they know what's happening when our doors are closed, that we're still doing things for their students. So another thing that we did was our literacy night. Our amazing librarian, Crystal Jacobs, as well as a team of teachers, organized a literacy night where students were able to come in with their families. And there were so many families that came in, and each room had a different thing that was going on. So our enrichment teacher, Allison Hampton, she created a readers theater performance that they got to perform for their parents. We brought in some guide dogs. You can see a picture of that on the screen. That's the farthest left photo. And students got to read to dogs and pet them as they were at their literacy night. We also had reading by the campfire. So lots of different opportunity for students to show off their reading to their families and make reading a whole family opportunity. We have also brought in community members. Particularly, we've been trying to focus on community members that look like our kids to come in and read to our students and read the books that they're excited about. So on Friday afternoons, we've been lucky enough to partner with Central basketball players as well as some Novak Academy students. And they've come in and read one-on-one or with whole classrooms of students. And the kids are always asking, when are they coming next? Are they coming this Friday? So it's really great to see them so excited about not just them coming, but reading with them and making that a positive opportunity. We have a student-built committee. So each of our classrooms nominated 2 students to be representatives of their classroom, and they are my committee. They're my kiddos that I hang out with all the time. And one of the things that we did in our committee is we built our expectations at Dr. Howard, and they helped me design the posters and the pamphlets that went out to each classroom. And then they created videos on what we should do in order to create those expectations at Dr. Howard. And those are shown each month. So at the beginning of each month, they get to be like highlighted in their classroom with the videos that we show. And then we also had a kindergarten alphabet assembly. Our kindergarten teachers are great. You'll see in the top right-hand corner, there's a picture of that. Our whole cafeteria was filled. We ran out of seats. So many families came from our kindergarten classes. So they came and got to see all of the alphabet learning that their students were doing. And like I mentioned, we had that second grade readers theater performances. Some things that we're looking to do or did before this PowerPoint was done is we are looking to do some May Day neighborhood basket deliveries. They've done this in the past, and we want to continue. We had a civil rights wax museum in 5th grade. I'll send you some pictures. Again, it happened before this PowerPoint was done, but just incredible. Kids dressed up with their posters presenting who they were for Black History Month. We also have been doing a lot of buddy classrooms. So our 5th and 4th graders will come down to kindergarten and do letter tracing in the hallways with our kindergartners to help our students who are behind. And then we also have some 3rd and 2nd graders who are pairing to read together, particularly students who need intervention. And maybe we don't have as much intervention support for them. So we are leveraging our higher level readers at our higher grades in order to help those younger students with their reading and to see themselves in higher level readers. And then we've done a lot of Black History Month spotlights in our music, science, and in social work. And then finally, our cultural spotlights, we did Hands Around the World and International Night, which is a really great point for me to plug our PTA. Our Dr. Howard PTA is incredible. I mean, they did Hands Around the World. They've done movie nights. They brought in the Illinois basketball players. I mean, just amazing at helping us build community. Our families at Dr. Howard are really integrated and engaged in making sure our students are loved and cared for. So we're really grateful to them.
All right, so our professional development, as part of our SILT leadership, we needed to marry whatever we were doing with our responsive classroom. We're a responsive classroom school at Dr. Howard. And so we developed a plan to address our literacy needs and also some of our social emotional needs. So we, a lot of our students came back with trauma, of course, and also adults have this too. And so some of our students, when we came back a year ago, hadn't been in the school in well over a year. And then they were coming to a brand new school. And we realized early on that a lot of them weren't really on board with coming back to school at that time. I had kids every day asking me, when can I go home and learn on Zoom again? And I was like, that's not happening anymore. So we started asking our staff, what do we need? We need literacy PD, we needed trauma resilience PD and so we're giving professional development or organizing that around the needs that our staff wants. So we have the science of reading PD, Kate Stallmeyer is coming in to do that. We have Karen Sims has done some trauma resilience professional development for us. And our professional development team visits the other teams to find out what we need going forward in professional development. We are infusing playful classroom into our whole building, and all of us teach reading. And so as far as our literacy needs go, most of the building is piloting either into reading or a foundational skills type of reading curriculum. And with that, since we're all teaching reading, we make our learning visible. Like here we are decoding, here we are learning to read, here we are reading to learn. These are the projects and the work that goes with that so that our students see we're doing this all the time. Even at literacy night, we had alphabet cards that had adjectives and nouns on them. And so students went around with their families and made acrostic poems that described them and their family members with their names. So we've really been able to do a lot with our professional development team, just listening to the teachers. So thank you.
That's a great picture. We're actually, you can't see it maybe in the details, but we're actually building models of the brain with yarn and pom-poms, because we're working with Dane's work about the brain and how we learn to read. And we have, by the way, all of our staff doing that. So music, art, right, PE, everyone is learning about how kids learn to read, because what we need everyone to understand is kids aren't wired to read, right? We have to teach, they have to learn how to read. It just doesn't come naturally. So we need everyone to understand that all means all, right? When we say all means all kids need to learn to read. That also means that all adults need to understand how kids learn to read. So again, this should be really no surprise that our student achievement work is around reading. So we really want to develop a protocol that helps us hold ourselves accountable. So we know that we have a very, and we're going to be adopting a new curriculum next year, but we know we have a very prescribed ELA block. So we need to see strong foundational skills instruction. We know that targeted instruction time might be some more foundational skills work, right? We know what we're doing isn't working. So we have to develop some protocols, right? Where we can do walkthroughs, where we can check on each other to ensure that we're really implementing what we have in place with fidelity, So we also are very excited. We're doing after school tutoring again this year. So this is our second year. Again, thanks to Peter Furch and Rhonda Thornton, because we wrote for an extended learning grant after school, and we are doing some tutoring one-on-one with students. And we're also, I just had to plug too, I'm a SAMS principal. So I use SAMS data as well. So thank you for that. I do use SAMS data to track where I am, right? What spaces I am in, what teachers I'm with, what kind of feedback I need to do. Like every day, almost every day, not every day, almost every day we do that. So we really know that we have to improve the performance for our students, with them being able to read by the time they get to third grade. So thank you. And we're going to just put it out there again. Please come by and see us at Dr. Howard. We do have some books, and we can share with you some of the text that we use through DOPA. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? I have a question. So is it safe to assume that your instructional focus is on reading?
Reading. Learning to read and reading to learn.
I'm
So,
kidding.
right? Decoding, context and meaning. Yep. It is.
I just want to say thank you to you as well. The theme, the joy, the student focus, being student-centered, all those things is amazing. So I will be by there. I don't need any more books. If you've been in my office, you'll see. I don't know, but yeah, but I just want to say thank you. I love the work that you're doing and the professional development that you're highlighting and using your data to guide and drive that. And I love to hear we're all reading, teaching reading. Love that. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing and just an observation of all of the school highlights that we've seen in the last few months. It's like people are excited and they actually feel good about being at work. You can't fake that. And so I commend you all for, riding with the bumps, but really rallying together to do what's best for our students. We've been wanting to hear and see that for years. And for the first time, I'm actually convinced that's what's happening in our building. So thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
And truly, I can say, and really, the SILT leadership structure, the school improvement plan, the focused schools work that has really driven us to hone in, right, on what we want to do and our action steps.
Kathy?
I want to highlight the playful classroom stuff because I think not only is that a wonderful way to teach students, but that I would think is part of the reason that the staff is so joyful. We all need to be a little bit more playful in our work. And I love that you're demonstrating that to students and that it seems to be reflected in how the staff feel about things. So I love that. And I also really love bringing in families to read and having families talk about their favorite books and just, ensuring that reading is an every time, everywhere activity. It's around the campfire. It's with dogs. It's, it's something you can do all the time and that everybody should be doing. So I really, really, really like that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is it still Art Mark cookies that are the staff favorites if we come by?
I'm sure.
We're like anyone in education, we love free food. So anything works.
And how can we support you?
I think one of my response to that would be to continue to advocate for students at the elementary level, especially from the equity lens when we look at our policies and our practices and our systems that limit us. So two of our biggest highlights, DOPA and after school tutoring, is really difficult for us. We can't put kids on an MTD later in the day. We have to have transportation, right? And we got through that. Year 2 of DOPA, we figured it out. However, I still think that some of the big dreams that we have are often limited by a calendar, right? Or I don't know, a cleaning schedule or, just so really thinking about how we break down those barriers because they're systemic barriers that limit access for our Black students and families. You might have something else.
So just to echo that and to keep a focus on our equity lens, right? Our students at Dr. Howard, and I'm sure across the district, but I'm at Dr. Howard every day. The amount of trauma that they carry with them, especially our Black and Brown students, is monumental. And our students are suffering from things like homelessness all the time. And so we have one social worker and he is awesome. And we have a half-time psych and she is amazing, but it's not enough. So I think that the more socio-emotional support we can supply to our kids at the elementary level, the more they're going to be ready to go into middle school and not need maybe as much support. So if we can provide those extra FTE for social work and counseling and psychiatry at the elementary schools, I think that would be really wonderful for our students. And I think you'd see growth in not only SEL, but in academics as well.
Thank you. Mr. Kleber, would you like to give a plug right now for how people apply to work?
We actually are short some psychologists and social workers in the district, so you can apply online at champaignschools.org/employment.
Yeah, and it's just, and I know that it's not apples to oranges, right? But we are up near 400 kids. Our MLL population has doubled. Our special ed population, right? It's not just Dr. Howard. It is, it's needs that we have across our district. So just again, It's all the work that we're doing in our strategic plan. So looking at the allocation of our resources, right? And are we doing that in a way that's really beneficial to the largest number of our students? So access, all the strategic plan points. Every kid, every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, so
And
much.
sorry, we don't have swag, but you're still welcome to come.
You
by
do, just in a
Dr. Howard.
different way, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, that's what your ask is exactly why we asked for what your data, what is your data saying? And given the rationale for what you need and why you need it and how it's going to be utilized, if it's being utilized the proper way. So having those conversations with me and with HR and with Linda is powerful, and of course with Dr. Taylor. But we want to make sure we're doing what everyone needs and not giving everybody the same thing, because that's what equity is. Equity is meeting where we are and what we need, but with accountability.
Mr. Kleber has my proposal.
Yes, he does.
Thank you.
And I've seen it. So, but thank you. Appreciate you
Thank
all.
you.
You all
And
tonight.
Jefferson truly is amazing too.
Yeah, it is. And I was just gonna say, listening to you all tonight and the others who have come before you really makes me feel proud and honored to be the leader of this amazing system. Is because of you and what you do. So, and I don't say that I'm about to tear up, but I don't do that often, but you all are amazing. And in spite of all that we've been through, you get the job done. It's not easy. This is hard work, but it's heart work, and your hearts are in it. So thank you so much for everything you do. I commend you.
Thank you.